Drinking with Authors may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, I am Nick Savage, author of the West Haven of the Dead series and host of this wonderful podcast, Drinking with Authors. As always, this and every episode is brought to you by Four Horsemen Publications, so check them out on their website. They have lots of great authors, lots of great books, but that's not why we're here tonight. We are here with author Kathleen Palm, who has written the Nowhere series. 3 books into the series. She has book 1, Into the Gray, book 2, Within the Black, and book 3, which is coming August of 2026, Out of Nothing. So that said, Kathleen, welcome and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super down to chat and drink.
That being said, what is your drink of choice?
Chocolate milk, because I am a child.
You know what? Never too old for chocolate milk. I am myself drinking 0-calorie cherry cola because this is going to be a wild show right here.
Yes.
Yes, we're going to get chocolate milk wasted like they said in that one Adam Sandler movie. So middle grade horror.
Yep.
And you don't live in a haunted house, which we'll get to in a moment, because you do mention that sadly it's not haunted. But you write middle grade horror that focuses on friends, family dealing with fears. Tell me about the series and then tell me about book 3.
Well, the Nowhere series will have 3 books published through Undertaker Books. Centers around the place of Nowhere, which is where all the lost things go. So if you ever lose anything, it ends up in Nowhere. Each book has a different main character who is dealing with different problems and different fears and different traumas, but it all centers around them going to nowhere and dealing with all of these things. Book 1, Into the Gray, it focuses on Ember, who is 12, and she has moved to the town of Gray, and everything is wrong, and she hates it, and she just wants life to be like it was, and she is certain that if she finds her little sister's lost stuffed pink cat, that everything will be perfect, and she's sure it's in Nowhere, and Nowhere won't give it back. And it is a journey of learning that it's okay to not be okay. It's a journey of just learning that you don't have to fight so hard all the time. Book 2 follows Ember's friend Will as he's dealing with the death of his mom. And he has learned that this hurts a lot and he doesn't want it to hurt. And he has decided to go to Nowhere to forget all the hurt and all the pain and sink into the black. And he has to learn that forgetting isn't quite the answer for all of this. And you do have to face a lot of this trauma that happens. Book 3, which is coming in August, Out of the Nothing, follows Will and Ember's friend Shelley as she is dealing with the fact that she's been waiting forever for somebody to come and help her, for somebody to tell her what to do, for somebody to get her where she wants to go in her life. And through going to Nowhere, she has to learn that she has her own power and she has to fight the monster who has taken over Nowhere.
That sounds very nice. And it sounds like lessons that honestly, I know a lot of adults could use to learn right now.
Right.
I don't mean that in like a bad way. I know the way I sound, and I know I sound like that. But I mean, especially right now, I feel like there's a lot of people who could learn to stand to learn that sometimes we have to find it within ourselves to get things done that need to be done and not rely on other people. So
Yes.
why middle grade?
I started writing YA, but there were things about YA that didn't quite click with me. And somebody once said, well, why don't you write for middle grade? And I went, well, that sounds terrifying and difficult. But the more I thought about it, the more I went, you know what? These are the themes I'd like to deal with. Kids, basically their world is home, their world is school, their world is family and friends. But there's a lot of dealing with who they are. And I think I love the themes of finding your own power. I love the themes of making friends. I love the themes of, learning to, deal with things in your family that maybe aren't going quite right. But I love all of these things wrapped up in home and school and friends and family. And I think it's, once I settled here, it felt really right.
Nice. No. I completely understand what it's like to find the age group, the genre, just where you belong in general in terms of you know, life, and that's a good feeling. So middle grade it is.
Yes, it's super fun here. You can do wacky things. Kids,
No, no,
kids
no.
will
That's
kids will get on that train.
now. On a side note, are you wearing a Goonie shirt
Oh,
for anyone not watching?
I am. Yep,
That is
I am.
wonderful. I have a psych shirt on, which you can't really see, but it's just a
Oh
pineapple
yeah.
that says "I know you know."
Oh, I
And
love
so,
that show.
for anyone listening along and not watching on YouTube, because I record with video, I get to stare at them, and her hair was covering. All I saw was this GO, but I was like, I know that font. That is the
Yeah,
Goonies font. So
yeah.
yeah, it is a great movie, and no one. There are people who watch that movie nowadays who are showing their kids for the first time, and then it ruins movies for these kids because they watch other movies that come out nowadays and they're like, movies aren't like they were back then, and I'm like, no, they
No,
weren't. And I'm
no,
not being
Goonies is
old and
awesome.
curmudgeon. Like there was a magicalness to the movies back then that was just great. But Goonies aside, when I get, you know, my coordinating producer sends me this info on everyone who I'm going to be interviewing, so I can do a little bit of background research, not like detective levels, just like, you know, I have half an hour and I get to research. And when you were a kid, you didn't want to be an author. You didn't get into that till you were older. Not that we're old. I'm just saying older than, you know, 5.
Oh, I'm old. Yeah, that's right.
I am 46. I refuse to say I'm old because I don't feel old. I have my aches and pains. We all do, but I'm like, no, we're not old. We're not old. But when you were a little tyke, you wanted to be a ballerina.
I did. I used to dance around in the basement. I thought I was awesome.
Were you not?
I was not. I was not.
Were you given the boost that a lot of parents do that say you're wonderful and keep at it, or did your parents be like, no?
They let me go to the little classes to do it. Uh, Nobody ever said don't do that. Nobody ever said, "Oh, you should do this." They just let me do it, and I did it, and eventually I stopped. Because I realized I really couldn't do any of these things. I'm not coordinated.
No, no. I understand. I always wanted to be a dancer. Like not like a ballerina dancer, but just I wanted to be able to
Oh,
dance.
dancer. Yeah, yeah,
Like I
yeah. I
wanted
would
to,
love that.
yeah, just like be able to dance, be able to do something that required like foot coordination and not, yeah. I'm there with you on that. You know, like not a. I would love to be able to like swing dance or any dance, shit, square dance. Let me square dance. You know, like something. No foot coordination at all. So I
You didn't
understand.
get to do square dancing in high school? We did. We had square dancing. I'm a little older than you, so maybe.
No, no, no. We did it in grade school and in high school, and it
Yeah.
was still horrible. I'm not. Yeah, it was. But then you transitioned though from ballerina to marine biologist, and I'm sure there are some forgotten ones in between.
I loved anything that had to do with like the ocean. It was fascinating to me. However, the biology part of that, the science part of that, my brain went, no, we're not doing science. And I said, okay, that's fair. So I just decided just to look at the pretty fish and and all that and not science it.
Well, did you on the topic of though the marine biology? Did you hear about the jellyfish they discovered in Asia?
No? Is there a pretty
Okay,
new jellyfish?
pretty is going to be a
Scary?
subjective term. It has 24 eyes.
Oh, I love that.
It is a jellyfish that has 24 eyes, but no brain because jellyfish don't have brains.
Right.
So they're unsure. They know it can see, but they're unsure how it processes the information it sees without a brain. And it can see everywhere at once because of where the eyes are located.
So it's linked somewhere to aliens who can see what it's seeing to then try to take over the world.
I think it's like an IMAX camera from the aliens if we can see
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's but it was just an interesting thing, and I thought as someone who once thought marine biology was going to be where they'd end up, uh,
Yeah,
you'd appreciate that.
that was cool.
No,
Scary.
but you went though from marine biologist to going to college for violin.
Actually, I went for art. I
For
played the
art.
violin for a long time, but I went to art to get got a BA in art with focus in painting. I wanted to be an illustrator. I thought books were awesome, stories are awesome, and I always liked to draw as a kid, and I thought, well, I could be an illustrator then, and that's how I can then help all the stories out there in the world. And what's funny now is when I look at what I used to draw, it was all my own stories. I would draw scenes from things in my head that were stories in my head. I would draw characters. I would draw worlds. I had stuff listed by it on what the world was like, what the characters were like. I had all that stuff. So when I look back now, I was creating stories back then just through pictures.
So if you have, I mean, I am assuming that unlike dancing, you can actually draw and illustrate since you got your degree in that.
I I I haven't painted in a while, but I did paint some pretty cool things. I think they're pretty cool. My daughter is getting her Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. Actually, she's graduating Saturday. And so she has taken art and actually gone and made art. And I was like, "See, you're the artist. I was always a storyteller who just drew pictures." So what I do like to do though is I like to draw stickers and bookmarks to go with all my books and have them printed and sell them. So that kind of gets the whole creative drawing thing for me going, and then I can still write books because that's really what takes all of our time.
So your Undertaker Press does not allow you to do your own book covers then?
It was one of those things that I said I would love to, but I have zero experience doing book covers themselves. And if you find an artist who actually can do that and get it done in timely fashion, I usually take about a bajillion years to get stuff done. So that was more of a practical. If it needs to be done, don't let me do it. I take way too long to do it. But I do get to do my bookmarks and my stickers, so that's fun.
No. Yeah, designing covers is a whole
Yeah,
different monster from just making pretty pictures and stuff, and it's it's um it's nothing I would want to conquer.
right.
Like I know as an author we have some input on the covers, like this is what we're thinking, or these are some
Right.
ideas, and then the cover artists go, those suck or those are great, and then they run with them.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, like I'm not saying that you're like that. I'm saying that the cover artist might look at an idea and go, "Oh, I can work with this somehow," or this will inspire me to do something completely different.
Yes.
Um, but I've been there with my people who are like, "No, this is horrible," and I'm like, "It happens." So 3 books. Now I know a lot of series are trilogies, the big magic number in any
Yeah.
industries, trilogies. Um, are you continuing on? Is this going to be an endless kind of series, or do you have an end plan for it?
Book 3 is the end. I basically Nowhere has its own character arc through all 3 books, and that's where it ends it. So I have my 3 characters dealing with Nowhere and its different stages of decay, basically, and then and then the last book, Shelley has to save it. So once Nowhere then is saved, and my characters have all gone through what they need to go through, that's it. I don't need to go back.
You know, no, there's something very nice about wrapping up a series and like a feeling of finality that is
Yeah.
nice about it. Yeah. Um, so I don't know if you read, and I'm kind of just grasping for your opinion on this. The Divergent series, like the Hunger Games and everything like that. She had the main story arc
Mhm.
of how many books it was. I think it was like 5 books or something like that. And then that story arc is done, but now she's writing other stories within the world.
Yep.
What's your? I'm not trying to like be like dogging an author. I'm just the concept of taking a world that had a main story and writing other stories. What's your thought on that?
Well, because what we got the Hunger Games, and then she went and wrote Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which was President Snow's story, and now Haymitch has its own story. For the people who love these worlds, I think going back to it is probably very awesome. Do they need to be told? I don't know if those stories need to be told. That's the thing, right? But is it fun for readers who love these characters to go see them? Sure. Sure. Am I gonna feel the need to go and write some side story for nowhere? I no. I
No.
I don't have the need. I told like its big ending story now, and had my 3 characters who needed something from their time in nowhere, and that would be done. But if you're making money off your stuff and you can make some more money off of it by doing something else, who am I to say don't do that? Will I read it? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
But
But
other people will. Yeah.
right. My daughter loves all the Hunger Games stuff, and she went right back to get those prequels. I guess they're prequels, right? And she enjoyed them immensely. So, hey, if readers are liking it, let them.
No. That's an honest answer. But you did say something that I kind of want to touch on. You said you don't know if the story needs to be told. And I think there are a lot of authors out there who have an idea for a scene or a segment of a book and turn it into a book because they're like, this is a neat idea and it's not really a story so much as, and then they try and turn it into a story. But does the story need to be told? Have you ever read a book that you were like, that story didn't need to be told?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank completely. Have I ever?
It's kind of a double-edged question, I think, because you'd easily forget stories that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, that's true. I can't think of one right off the top of my head that I read and thought, why though? I don't. Well, okay, the end of the Divergent series. I did think that last book.
the last, yeah, okay.
When it went from all Triss's POV in the first 3, so 3, and then the last one's is it? Okay, I may be
It's
completely
been a
wrong.
while.
The last book had Triss's POV and 4, and she flipped back and forth. And by the time I got to the end, and spoiler alert, Triss dies. So now she has a way then through 4 to keep telling the story. And I went, but I had zero need for any of his point of view. By the time I got to the end of that series, I was kind of over it as well. But for those people who loved it, love it, go for it. For me, it didn't work.
No, and I kind of understand because, speaking of the Goonies, it'd be like if they had a Fratelli brothers, or the Fratelli family story. Like you get what you need in the opening scene, and throughout
Yeah.
the movie, there'd be no need for, a spin-off on Mama Fratelli and her sons.
No.
And
No,
that
I
makes
don't.
sense.
Yeah.
Now, I've never personally read any of the Divergent series. It never appealed to me because I saw Running Man.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I loved Running Man. I loved both of them. I thought the remake that
Yeah.
came out was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, it wasn't like the original. And like, it's because
No.
it's a remake. It shouldn't be exactly like the original.
Right.
And I guess it was even closer to the original story. But like the concepts being what they were, you know what I'm saying? Like at the time, there was a couple other movies, like the Most Dangerous Game style concepts and stuff. So it just never interested me. I'm not saying it's bad writing. I'm not saying it's not a good book. I'm just saying something about it was like, meh.
Well, and that's what happens too. Once something hits and it's kind of a trend, you get just so much of the same thing coming at you. And then eventually you're just picking and choosing which ones you want to read or watch, and just forget the other ones. You don't need everything to be. Was it Twilight? Twilight made everything vampires, and I was over vampires about half a second. But
Well, there's actually an interesting thing about vampires, and I'm not saying you're not allowed to not be over vampires by all means, but as someone who writes, like their take on the myth behind them, um, vampires have gone in and out of fashion consistently
That's
since
true.
since Hollywood took over. Like the whole Bela Lugosi, like Dracula
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
I think it's like 7 years. They come in and out of fashion for about
That's
5.
true.
So there's really only about a 2-year gap where vampires are not in fashion, and it's weird because it's like it's the only thing that really does that is like vampires.
That's true. And people keep trying to then add a new twist to it or a new take on it. And
Guilty.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, a
I-
lot of people love them. A lot of people love them.
It's a different, and I'm not here for me, so I will just say on what I do, it is different because I don't like your traditional take on a lot of things. So you have to make them different and stuff like that.
That's true.
But you have the 3 books and you're done
Yep.
with that series. I'm assuming you're not done writing.
No, fortunately, I keep doing that. Yeah.
It's a curse.
Banging your head against the table all the time.
Yeah. Well, people are always like, "What's it like to be a writer?" And I always quote the TV show Monk. It's a blessing and a curse.
Oh God, I love Monk. Oh my God.
Well, okay, Tony Shalhoub is probably one of the most underrated. I don't even want to say underappreciated because people who know him,
Yeah.
but so underrated in terms of his acting. And I know he's won Emmys, and I don't know if he's won an Oscar or anything like that. But everything he does is so real and almost with a hint of sadness to it too. And that might just be the monk coming through, but like everything he carries this weight with him. And I'm just like, I hope he's happier in real life than than the characters he portrays. But oh my God, like he's just absolutely wonderful.
He is.
But
He is.
yeah, but no, Tony Shalhoub. So what do you have on the horizon for your next book then?
I have sent one out that I'm querying a couple of small presses. It's a weird one, so I don't know. I actually had it signed with a small press and I have taken it back for reasons. But so I need to find it a new home and my brain is now wrestling with a couple of ideas and I'm trying to see which one will come out on top for the next one to draft.
Okay, you brought up a couple of things that make me want to ask questions. And the first and foremost being you can't just say for reasons. So without giving away, don't dog the press. Don't
No,
dog
I
the
don't
press by
want to do
name.
that.
But what were they not a legit press? Were they
No,
asking for money? Okay.
they are and they do a good job. I wasn't comfortable with things that were said and done. So when I had a chance, I left. I do not regret it. The anxiety I felt all the time, wondering about certain things every day, I do not miss that at all. But I mean, I've been with small presses that have ghosted me. One that my Into the Gray was published first with Spooky House Press with Robert Atone. He shut his press down. He didn't have time. So then I orphaned. So now I've got a press that I've now left. And now Undertaker Books has been fairly consistent and very nice to work with through the whole time. So it's just a ride. It's just a ride.
Just a ride. I like that. And it's just a ride. Well, Hunter S. Thompson, buy the ticket, take the ride.
Yeah.
And you're taking the ride. So, and the other thing that you mentioned, it's weird, or it's weird, or it's got a lot going on, or unusual. What can you elaborate on that without spoilers?
So the manuscript I'm querying is another middle grade horror, and it is called Nightmare Garden. And it takes place in the dimension of goo. And I have some cosmic beings that are in charge of planting light dreams.
Okay.
So basically, it's the younger beings being told by the older beings what exactly they need to do, how exactly they need to think, who exactly they need to be. And my main character, Ev, who says, "Hmm, I don't like being what you're telling me to be. I am going to go find out who I am by myself." So, and darkness ensues, but it is very strange in this weird dimension that I made up, and but it's got some creepy things, and Ev then dealing with the fact that they are both light and dark instead of just light like they're supposed to be, and that when you step out from under your shelter that you've been in, sometimes it's very scary, and then they have to deal with that fear. That is a new thing. So that's that book that I.
No, that's wonderful, and it sounds like that'll be a fun journey. It's not, it's not, it's not as strange, and you know what I'm saying? Like it's weird and it's strange, but it's not like this middle grade Cthulian kind of thing that I was expecting.
Yeah, no, I won't go complete cosmic horror for middle grade. I don't. I think I like to have some hope in my horror, but and cosmic horror tends to suck that right away. But so I'm not so good at cosmic horror. So I just had a cosmic beings out in space somewhere.
No, that sounds wonderful, and you're querying that, and so I hope I it'll get picked up. You're already published with one press. Someone will pick it up, I am sure.
Maybe, hopefully.
No, it will, it will. What they say it's an X amount of rejections before one yes, and you already got your yes, and so it'll be fewer, rejections. That doesn't sound nice. I wasn't trying to be mean. I was trying to give you hope. I'm not good at the hope thing. I'm not good at the hope thing. The hope thing is I mean I grew up I don't want to say grew up. I was in high school when they came out, but like my favorite bands were like Slipknot, and they have an album called All Hope Is Gone. So like
All of us
hope
got.
just wasn't something that I ever, clung on to. So I'm not good at. That's why I'm not a counselor. My God,
Well,
be horrible. Okay, your life sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah. No.
it's good you know that. It's really good you know that.
Well, I don't know. Have you ever seen someone who's just so unself-aware, just beyond the ability to see themselves for what they are?
Oh, sure, everywhere.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, for not elaborating on that because I think we all have someone in mind. Um,
Maybe.
and yeah, and I try and be hyper self-aware to the point where people are like, "Why are you mean to yourself?" I'm like, "I'm not. I just you have to know what you're not good at. You have to know what you're good at because you have to know what you sound like. Because I've made people cry when I don't mean to, because I'm just me and I get excited and you talk and you know what I'm saying. And sometimes when you talk,
Yes.
your voice gets loud. And when you're from Chicago and you're talking to people from small towns and you get excited, you sound like you're yelling at them, and they're like, "Why are you yelling at me?" And I'm like, "I'm not. I mean, you are, but you're just shouting because you're happy." So it's this
There's
whole thing.
yeah. It's a line between who you are and how you normally are, and then trying to make other people understand that. Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
then you
tough.
have to, yeah, then you learn to try and like temper or not temper yourself, but control certain aspects, not changing yourself so much, but controlling it so you can
Right.
control the situation a lot better and not make everyone think you're just yelling at everyone all the time, which was the actual, this is going to be the best segue I've ever done here, which was the actual underlying theme of Little House on the Prairie. Um,
Listen, I had an obsession with that for a long time. I own all of the books and all of the shows.
so I've tried. No, I am. Again, I am not judging anyone on this because Little House on the Prairie has this lasting kind of uh, cult likeness. Like people love it, and it has this enduring phenomenon with
Yeah.
people. It was a show. What? And I'm not saying it was a bad show. I mean, it was an older show, so like growing up to me, it played like an older show. Was
Yeah.
it Michael Landon? Like, did you just like was it his dreaminess or?
No, actually, I liked the kids in it. I liked how they struggled. I like the friendships, the enemies, the like. I enjoyed all of that, and there was something about that show, I don't know, what if the pioneer thing, right? The setting out and finding a new home, that just made me go, "Wow." But also, I would never do that in my entire existence, ever. Set out to who knows where and build a house, like, never. But there was something about seeing that and reading all the books, because if you go back, because there are the Laura books, but then there's, Caroline, her mom, and then there's Charlotte, her mom, and then there's Martha. And if you go back far enough to Martha's book, they take place in Scotland, which was really fascinating.
So Little House on the Prairie actually starts in Scotland, and then they come to
They
the
did.
U.S. and build a log cabin. And for anyone who's
Which,
younger and has no idea what we're talking about, this is not like a modern day series. This
no.
series took place during the pioneer days of America, not like 1975.
No.
Which I know to a lot of younger people, that is the pioneer days of America.
I was alive in 1975. I was 3.
I was not quite born yet, but we were approaching those years.
Close, yeah.
I am the last of our generation.
Our generation's is a good one.
It is a good one because we didn't die drinking hose water, and that's okay. You know what I have to say? What our generation forgets is that this younger generation can't drink hose water anymore because it's not potable.
I know.
Even if they wanted to, even if they were outside and they're like, "Oh man, I'm so hot," there's so much in our water supply that they just can't drink the hose water. And if they live in Florida and the hose is just sitting there open, you don't want to drink it because the little lizards crawl into them and stuff, and you just don't want to be drinking that.
Yeah, no.
It's a whole thing. Like stuff that we did as kids, they can't do nowadays, mainly because most of it's illegal. But like it.
Like just getting on your bike and going, "Bye, Mom, I'm going to so and so's house," and going there, and then going 500 other places on your bike, and no one knows where you are,
No one.
ever. And that's why when we grew up and became parents, suddenly we made all these rules. Because suddenly we went, "Oh my God, we all could have died."
Well, no, there were many of us who did. Don't get
That's
yourself
true.
wrong.
That's true.
But we just ended up on a milk carton that nobody paid attention to
Oh,
when
that's
we
right.
went
Yeah, the
missing.
milk carton. Yep, that's right.
And nowadays, okay, people here have So Stranger Things is a Gen X show.
Yep.
Not for the audience, for the characters. You know what I'm saying? Like that was Gen X characters, Gen X audience. But have you seen there are threads on Reddit? There are posts on social media where the younger generations ask if we actually did these things as kids. Now, obviously not like the Vecna, but like the realistic stuff. If we did that, or if they made them up for the show, and we were like, no, this was life. Like, have you? Yeah, like, how did you explain that to you? Because you said you have a daughter who is about to graduate. How did you explain to her when Stranger Things started out like 30 years ago, for the 6 seasons they had? How did you explain to her that life was like that?
I don't know if I even tried. I think I just, you just have kids, and then I realized, my son, I have 2 kids. My son used to just go off and do things, and I would go, "Huh, I wonder where he is." And then he would come home, and I would say, I don't need you to give me an itinerary. Just, say, "Hey, Mom, I'm going somewhere. Bye." And he's like, "Oh," he never figured that out. Which, honestly, when he hit like 17 and 18, and he was just gone for work or wherever he was, it just prepared me for the time when he was just gone and I never knew where. And now he has a house and he's moved out, so I never know where he is anyways. So it prepared me. So I think this whole growing up with a kid having a phone, you know exactly where they are all the time, doesn't prepare you for later. Like, are you really going to track their phone when they're 30? Like, let them go.
That's actually a very interesting take, because I know that like I am child free as far as I know, and I say it jokingly, but
Yeah. Yeah.
things happened when we were younger, and who knows. Um, but me and my wife, we don't have kids, and my sister does though. My sister very much admits to being a helicopter parent like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I'm with you on that head shake.
I that's way too much energy for me to do. Like when I had kids, I was just like, I just don't have the energy and time to make sure you're doing everything or know what you're doing all the time. I just couldn't do it.
But that's my thing is how do you
Yeah.
feel kids nowadays and parents with older children, how better or different would their life be if they didn't have the constant surveillance when the kids were younger with their cell phones and I'd say pagers, but those are long past.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like, how do you feel like had your son been so easily surveilled is the word, how do you think you
Yeah.
would be different now?
I I I guess if I had had the whole mindset of I need to know what you're doing all the time because I need to know, then see right now I would be probably texting him every day. Did you make it home from work? How's everything at home? All of that. Whereas now I'm like, he's fine. And if he's not fine, he'll let me know, I guess. And that's just how life goes. My daughter likes to tell me where she is, which is odd because I never really required that, but she needs me to know. So I'm like, that's fine. You can tell me what you need. But yeah,
Is
I
she
don't
the younger or the older?
yes. She's younger.
So the older one, see, that's a very interesting parenting style you had
Yeah.
because because it's kind of reversed. Like I know people like studies have shown that parents on their first kid are
The
overprotective and nobody can hold them, nobody can touch them, and the dad doesn't. And by the third kid, the dad's playing football with the baby, and the mom's just like, "Oh, he fell on his head. He'll be fine. Just wipe it off." Like it's a different mindset. Like, oh, his hand fell off. Just super glue it back on. It'll, like. But the first baby, oh, we got a paper cut, take him to the hospital type stuff. And I know I'm exaggerating, but it gets the point across of the mindset. But you were like opposite, maybe not, and I could be wrong. But like your first kid, you were like, you don't need to tell me, just tell me where you're going, and you're fine. Very kind of Gen X kid to have there.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I'm at work, like whatever. And then like your younger kid has the mindset of what the older kid should have, with the I'm going here, mom, I'm going here. Why don't and you're just like whatever.
It is well, and then I am the oldest of 3. And I think what happened is my mom is well, she was a teacher. So she was very much more of a let me know what's going on. I want to know what's happening. Who is this? And my dad, as long as the house wasn't like seriously on fire and you weren't bleeding to death on the floor, my dad, honest to God, just didn't care. Like, okay, sure, you can do that. And I think I picked that up from my dad. Just energy wise, I just connected better with that mindset of, you know what? It's fine. We'll just roll with that. No big deal. And I just remember my son looking at me at one point. I don't know how old he was, probably high school. He looked at me and he said, Mom, I do appreciate how you just kind of don't parent sometimes. He goes, I have friends who they have to tell their mom everything. Their mom gives them like, you can only watch TV for 15 minutes. You can only be on this for this long. And he goes, and you just kind of let us do stuff. He goes, and I appreciate that. And I'm like, am I a terrible parent? Maybe. I don't know.
No, I here's the thing. I think when kids come back to their parents and say thank you for doing something a certain way, it's a sign of being a good parent, because if you never had your kids say thank you for some sort of parenting style, that would probably be a clue that you sucked as a parent.
Maybe.
And I'm not saying the things they don't thank you for are the things you're doing wrong, because kids aren't thankful like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
but the fact that they thank you at all kind of means you're doing stuff good, or proper
Maybe.
or right, whatever.
I think they liked the fact that they had choices and they were able to then decide what they wanted to do for themselves. And also, this is another reason why I write middle grade, right? Because there's just so many times kids, their choices are taken away from them. No, this is what you are doing. No, this is what you're going to choose. And I'm like, what would be wrong with a world where kids actually grow up and they're able to choose what they want to do, and when things go wrong they can go, oh well, that didn't work, well we'll try something different. Could you imagine a world where kids like knew who they were and what they liked and what they could do and what they couldn't, what they liked and what they didn't, and grow up to be adults who were like, no, that's just not how I work. I'm going to go do this and be me. I guess I just always wanted my kids to know that they got to choose what happens in their lives. And I think I want all the middle graders out there to know that, which is another reason why I write middle grade.
That actually, you took my question away because I was going to wrap it up in your writing, and you're just like, I'm going to answer for him, which is wonderful. So thank you for that. It makes my job easier. But it does. It sounds like your kids had the life that we had, kind of, you know what I'm saying, growing up in that sense of going out and you know, like the be home by dark type stuff. You know, the street
when the
lights are on,
porch
time to
lights
come
on,
home.
yeah.
Yeah, when the street lights kick on, it's time to come home, and they don't get that nowadays. They don't.
No. No, they
And
always know where they are. My sister has the thing turned on the phone where she always knows where the kids are. And I'm like, why do you want to know where they are? Just who has time for that?
no, well, me and my wife were actually talking about this the other day, and I think it has to do with the ease of access of social media and mass media, not social media, but mass media,
Right.
because I was talking with a buddy of mine who was like, are more crimes actually being committed, or
We just
do we
know.
get to read about every crime being committed instead of just the local ones? And not only that, but see the same crime being published on 30 different websites
Yep.
that we see 100 different times a day, you know what I'm saying, type stuff. So then
Right.
people can't separate that out. And then all of a sudden, there's, instead of, you know, the same amount of kids being kidnapped as there were back in the 80s or fewer, or whatever the hell it is,
Right.
it's 300 million kids being kidnapped a year in the United States alone, because that's all we see are, you know,
Yep.
X, Y, and Z and the negative things over and over again. And so it creates that mindset in the parents. And you're just like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
It's so much it's so like I don't have the energy for that. I don't.
I don't envy parents nowadays. I don't envy parents because
No.
parenting nowadays is harder than it was when our parents were parenting us in different ways. I'm not saying that they had it easy, but it's harder in different ways and in new ways that were not seen back then. And being a
Right.
kid nowadays has to suck.
You know, it does. And my kids grew up right when the internet just kind of like my kids found YouTube to watch people play video games or whatever in grade school, but you know, they didn't neither one of them are on Facebook now. I don't know if my son's
Oh,
on
they're
any
so
social
lucky.
media. My daughter's on Instagram because she likes to show her art and stuff, but it's just one of those things where it's like there's so much coming at you all the time
Yeah.
being online, and my kids didn't quite have that. That wasn't quite the thing until they were older, and when they were older and it came at them, they were like, "Yeah, I don't need all this." And I was like, "Good for you."
Yeah. Like, I honestly could, if I could never go on social media again and still have a career as an author and, you know, doing what I do, I would go away. But it's a
Yeah.
necessary evil, so I make it as minimal as possible.
Yeah. You gotta market.
Got to market. Speaking of marketing, nice little segue right there. I am
Segue.
horrible. They're not subtle. I'm like, but I'm done. Segue time. This is why people like listening. They're like, oh, here's a new segment. We don't need commercial breaks. My segues are just that abrupt. It's what I mean, though. You have to be self-aware when you do stuff like I do. You're just like, oh, that was not smooth at all. Um, tell us where. I'm gonna mute myself when you talk so I can laugh. But tell us where we can find you. Give us all your shameless self promotion, where you can buy your books, where you can follow you on social media, all that jazz.
I am Kathleen Palm pretty much everywhere. I still have an account on Twitter. I'm not there hardly ever. Blue Sky, I'm on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram. I have a Facebook author page, and then I have a website, kathleenpalm.wordpress.com, because I'm too cheap to buy my domain. But
I'm with you on that. I'm about to give up my domain and just do like put the Wix in there wherever that goes, and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, my website does have links to all. I have short stories out through all sorts of things, and my books, and I try to keep it up to date as to where I will be when, if I'm going to be at any events. I try to keep that up to date. I do my best. But I am always around, and if people want to say hey. I like interacting and having a good time on social media, because otherwise it gets to be awful and terrible.
It's social media has proven that emotions and societal mindset is much like a grade in school. It's much easier to bring down the grade than it is to bring up the average.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to know that the A's, B's, and C's of school grades has translated into the mindset of society. It's much
Yeah.
easier to bring it down.
Yay.
But on all of them, I'm with you on that. I don't even know if I have a Twitter account anymore, X account, whatever we want to call it. But Threads and Blue Sky are probably, and Instagram are probably the three best places for authors anyways. So as long as you got those covered, you're good. There's something else I was going to ask, and it flew out of my mind because I haven't seen your moments lately. It'll be great.
That happens.
My wife tells me if I ever go see Al, she's not going to know. She's going to be like, it's him being him.
You know what? That's okay.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I just hope when I go, it's fast and painless. Yeah. Besides going fast and painless, if you had one piece of advice for writers, what would it be?
Write what you want, how you want to. Then listen to what everybody else says, but don't necessarily change exactly what you do for you because what they say. Too many times I've heard people say, oh, no, don't do that. So I will change everything I would write. And then I would go, but this isn't me anymore. Just keep you in your writing. Learn from everybody else, listen, but be sure to keep you in your writing.
Very nice. Oh, I remembered the question. This is also why I let people talk so I can remember what my brain forgot. When you're doing signings, now I don't write kids' books. I'll get some like younger kids who are more mature readers who are like, I'm 10 and I read Stephen King. And I'm like, you're
That's fair.
weird. Yeah. Do kids look at you with a sense of awe that like, or are they like every other older reader and they're like, write my book and make it pretty?
I have come across kids who just look at you like, wow, you wrote books, and here they are, books. And I've signed little pieces of scrap paper. I had somebody bring me a paragraph that they wrote of an idea, and she wanted me to sign that and read it. And I was like, I read the paragraph and I said, well, I want to know what happens. You probably should write that. And she just lit up. I'm like, let's go. Like,
yeah,
there are kids out there who honestly look at authors and think, wow, what they do is just tremendous and fantastic. And we're all out here just beating our heads on the table going, this is terrible. What are we doing? But there are kids out there who just think it's just the best thing ever. And so those little moments, you just think, okay, I can still do this. This is fine.
Nice. It is the little moments that keep us moving along the path we chose to take for whatever reason we hate ourselves.
Well, no.
No. It's funny too, because here's the thing though, and this is I am sure you were genuine and you want to know what happens next.
I did.
But even if you weren't, and I'm not saying you weren't, I'm sure you were, but I look at, because I do conventions and you see the celebrities interact with people and they're always nice. Like, you're never going to meet a celebrity and have someone be like, oh my God, I've been sober for 7 years because I saw your movie and something in it made me happen. You're never going to meet the celebrities like, oh, well, that movie sucked and you should, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're never going to get that interaction.
Yep.
And there comes a point where it might start where not everything is as genuine, but they become these genuinely better people. And whether or not you were genuine at that point, I'm not saying again, you were.
Right.
That could have been the spark that causes her to change the course of her life to be something more than she would have been otherwise.
Yeah, hopefully, right? So be your true self and to find out who you really are. Just quit being who other people think you should be and just, yes, go get them. Everybody.
From what you've said, sounds like the underlying themes of your books, or at least the newest one coming out, is be yourself.
Yeah, and I have one in my brain that I want to write, which is basically the fighting the who you should be and being who you are. But if that one would click into place in my brain, that'd be really great.
Do you know what I find helps gets those ideas to click into place is to obsess about them for months at a time? No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Don't. I had to stop. I finally went, this isn't working, and I just put it aside. And then my brain started going, hey, you remember that idea?
Yeah.
I said, the one we're not talking about right now, and it was like, yeah, I have an idea. I was like, I thought so.
But no, I'm going to let that idea foster in your head as I say thank you so much for everything. It has been a blast, and I don't think I've laughed this hard in a little while, so I'm very thankful for that. For everybody who's watching, you can read her name there. Go look her up. For everybody listening, it is KathleenPalm.wordpress.com. Find her at the name of your press is undertakerpress.com.
Undertaker Books.
Undertaker Books. Thank you, because I just make stuff up if I can't remember. It's my wife loves it. Mm-hmm. Undertaker Books. You find her there. You find her on all the social medias. Find her on Amazon. Go buy her books for your little ones, especially if they're into the scary stuff, and help them be better people. But not saying they're not good before. You know what I'm saying? But until then, everyone, thank you for joining us. And Kathleen, stick around. And remember, it costs nothing to be kind.
Thank you for listening to Drinking with Authors. Join us next time for another fun conversation with an author over drinks.